Well, we didn't finish our conversation last week, so we are going to now wrap it up the way I want it wrapped up. Amasewa, I mean, you've been through a lot, and it's just amazing. But for me, it's like what you have been through is not the story. The story is that you have overcome it. You are not talking about being a survivor, you're living life. You're married. Your husband knows about that. You said you.
Yes, I've
really?
told my husband everything.
Everything.
Yes, you have to, because there's no point keeping the secrets.
Yeah.
It's part of hiding the things in, and it's best to just say everything, and then they accept you for who you are, or they don't, and that's okay. So everything's on the plate.
Full disclosure.
It's full disclosures on the plate.
And how has marriage been? I mean, have you had traces of this trauma seeping through every now and then?
Yes, it has. From time to time, you do get it, I have to say. But then because you've worked on it, you can then sort of say, okay, this is coming, and what do I do? What are the techniques? And then you come back, if you have the therapy, or so you have some help techniques, then you can say, okay, I can see this is coming. Now stop. It's not here I need. Then you change and do something else. Yeah. Or sometimes you tell your husband, if I do this, it means this. So then you both of you are working towards to the same goal. Yeah.
So how many kids do you have?
I have two.
Yeah.
Two wonderful kids. Yeah. And God being so good, I was not surprised. I mean, I had 30% chance of having children.
Yeah, 30% chance, and there you go with two adorable kids.
And I've got two, one boy, one girl.
How do you deal with them parenting? Because you were talking earlier about how they shouldn't be afraid to ask you anything. How open? What's the style of motherhood you are imparting to them?
Probably best ask my children. But I've been very open from the start, obviously according to their age. I mean, you don't tell a 2-year-old, absolutely depends what question they come with. But I've always been very, very open with my children. I've always had to think that if, I have had that experience myself where I couldn't. So why should I take that? For me, the main thing was to break the cycle. So my children, I've always been open with them. Always been open with them. It doesn't matter whatever it is. At least we can talk about it.
And I like how you open with them and everything.
Yes.
So that if there's anything they need to talk to, you want to be the most comfortable person they can talk to.
I want to be the most,
yeah.
I want to be the person they can run to and say, and they are children, we are children, we make mistakes in our lives. We just need, we've done mistakes, we're going to make mistakes, our kids are going to make mistakes, and if they can't come to us, where should they go? Then they end up in the wrong place. So better they come to us and tell us, and we can hold them by hand and then say to them, sweetheart, maybe if you go this way instead of that way, or you've learned through this or that. But it is us that has the primary goal or aim that we're open with our children so they can come and talk with us. So I think it's extremely important, this openness, this relationship with our parents. And
what I find very, very exciting, especially when, if you were listening last week, she was gang raped and couldn't even tell her dad. Imagine she had that warm relationship with the father that she could have gone to her father and said, this is what I've gone through. The results would have been different. But she was afraid. And that's what you're dealing now.
Yes.
So can you talk to parents out there now who don't have that open relationship with their children, that they should, what do you have to say to them before we go any further? Oh, dear parents, dear parents, I know sometimes you think, well, the world, it's a big place and, there's so many boundaries and so many burdens. But trust me, the children are dependent on you. Our children, they're dependent on us. We have to be open with our children. We have to have a stage where they can run in and say, it doesn't matter what it is. We are there to give them love. We're there to teach them. And if they can't, where should they go? And if you as a parent, if you had it where your mom wasn't there or your dad wasn't there, then it's time to say, how did I feel? And if you didn't like it at that point, then it's time to change and say, do you know what? That stops with me. That back stops with me. Maybe my parents, I could never talk to them.
But I am going to change that. I am going to be the parents that, you know, they're going to. And of course, sometimes my kids, they ask me a question, I think, ooh, how do I answer this? Or, ooh, how do I go about this? Or what? And I go and ask other parents, I do, yeah. I read up on other things as well, because we also have to be, we have to be educating ourselves all the time. It's very, very important to keep up to date. It's important we get to know what's happening in our kids' world. Instead of leaving our kids, you know, you just play on the computer, you're left alone, you know, it's important. It doesn't matter that we parents think, oh, it's boring, you know, I'm too busy. Quality time, it doesn't mean hours. It can just mean 10 minutes. Just sitting with the kid, you know, just maybe eating with the kid. How was your day? How did it go? How you feel, you know, or what sort of games do you play? Or, you know, just come into their world. Where they can see, and in that way, when you start doing that, they come and open up to you. But if you don't find out what's going on in their world, then you bring the boundaries away.
The greatest fear that Ghanaian parents have, the greatest, is that, oh, I don't want to be so open with my kids to the extent that one day they'll come and tell me, Dad, I think I'm gay. Oh, all hell breaks loose. If you have a gun, you feel like, you know, that's the greatest fear. And I remember there was this attempt, I mean, you must have heard about some comprehensive education, and that's the greatest fear. Oh, wow, now going to teach our children it's okay to be gay. Your daughter can come and say, I choose lesbianism. That's how the whole thing was misconstrued or construed, I don't know. But what's your take on all this? Did you...
I think it's a very, very interesting issue, because I think it's all hypocrisy, if I'm quite honestly. The gay and lesbian thing is going on, and it's gone on for years, and it's still going on. Would you rather your son went out and did it secretly, and then you found out, or would you rather your son came and said, Dad, you know, this is who I am? Where is the difference? Because the truth is these issues are going on. The truth is actually to a point that we have now, that because of culture, we have men, maybe that have been abused, and then they maybe carry on the same, the same pattern of having abuse, or men that are in fact is homosexual. I'm not saying all homosexual are abusers or all homosexual have been abused. That's not what I'm saying. But if someone is homosexual, for example, that they would marry because the pressure is for them to get married. So they will do the conforms for getting married, but to be quite honest, they will sleep with their wife maybe once or twice, have the baby, but actual fact, all what they do with their wife is just anal sex. And that problem is big. I'm sorry to disappoint our folks, but it does happen. And we've had a lot of people, a lot of women, and actually women in very high positions that are actually going through this.
They're married to homosexuals?
They're married because the society says, okay, we must, you know, we don't accept. I'm not saying I accept or I don't accept. I am just stating that these issues, we need to talk about it. We need to put everything on the table. When I was in secondary school, lesbianism was rife. And I know the homosexuality was also rife in the boys' school. So when we brush all these things together to being quiet, we are just creating a danger zone. We are creating a danger zone. We need to open it up. It is happening.
So as a society, are we playing the ostrich?
Yes.
Pretend it doesn't happen?
We pretend it doesn't happen.
Oh, this is not African. This is not our culture. And you're saying it's happening?
It is happening, my dear. It is happening. I know people that have told me it. It is happening. And a lot of people are actually, you wouldn't be amazed the stories that's coming out. And as a society, we need to talk about it. We desperately need to talk about it.
Well, I think the agreement that they should talk about it is like, yeah, we need to talk about it, but we need to say never. We don't encourage it. We hate it. It is not our culture. It's not to talk about it, to discuss it, to be open-minded about it, but to make sure that you are hunted and kept in your closet wherever you are. Stay there. What's your approach to it? Is that the right approach? What's the alternative to that?
I'd rather live like a free bird than die as a sheep. Live for 100 years and die as a sheep. That's my answer.
That's your answer.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Does that make sense, what I just said? Yeah. Why are we not going to talk about it? Why are we not going to talk about it? What is it? What is it that... because what we do is we drive these people underground. That's the whole issue. The issue is we're driving people underground. And when we're getting them underground, that's where it gets even more dangerous. So there are issues we need to talk about it. We need to find, you know, whatever solution it is, but we need to bring it up.
Yeah. It's I understand what you're saying.
Because people are doing it. People are doing it anyway,
Yeah.
and they have been doing it for, you know, many years, and they're still doing it. They're doing it behind closets, closet doors. And it's going underground. So I would rather, if my son was homosexual, I'd rather I would rather he could say, you know, I could come to my mother and tell her, although society would go against me, that my mother would even hear what I'm going to say. I would rather my son came and said to me, and maybe I had dreams, you know, my son should get married and do whatever it is, but that is my dream.
Yeah.
That is my dream. That is my dream I'm imposing on him. But if he comes and that's who he is, my son I've carried for 9 months. I'm not going to throw my son out. No.
Yeah.
I would not throw my son out. Is he a bad person? Does that make him a bad person?
Yeah.
Does that really make it? We have people, I'm sorry, you have what do you call it, pastors and, you know, all the rest going and preaching about religion and all the rest of it. I am sorry. And they're out there molesting. I'm not saying all pastors are, please forgive me, and that's not what I'm saying. But you hear and see what they're doing, you will be absolutely shocked. It's even worse than my son coming to tell me that, you know, Mom, I prefer, you know, men to women. So I just think the whole thing is hypocrisy.
Yeah, there's a lot of that, and I just want to see how it plays out because I think the greatest fear was this gay lesbian thing, and that's the whole sexuality education was tied into that. So people don't want to hear it because even when you talk about sexual education, it means you want to encourage something which is not traditional, which is not our culture, but which between.
But if I had a son, and I hadn't educated him that, you know, there could be a man that wanted to do things with you, and that this is what gay, you know, homosexuality means. How can I empower that child? How can I empower the girl if there's another girl, a woman that comes and says, you know, I want to touch you, whatever, or come and do this with that? And if that is the name we put on it, if that is the name we put on that, you know, act, then why, as a mother, I would be cruel. I would be almost cruel not to teach my kid. Why would not I empower my child to say, do you know what, this means this means that, that's the word, the noun. And how is it that just by saying that, suddenly he's going to turn around and say, oh, no, now I am with, what do you call it, with men, or I am with women. I just don't see the connection. I think it's a very quick thing to bind together, just like that. I think it's a very easy, quick solution to avoid talking about issues, the same as being able to talk about opening up and people trusting you and people believing you. I think it's all the same thing. You know, we're very, very harsh, we're very polite. You know, Ghanaians, we're very polite, and I think we're almost polite to the point of being so timid.
Yeah.
You know, we're too polite, we're too nice, and that's why we have what do you call it? We have a whole pack of abusers that come from different countries, foreign countries, to abuse our children because we're polite. Because we are polite.
Yeah.
Isn't it about time that we forget all this going backwards and forwards, empower ourselves, whatever it is, because knowledge is power. Give them the strength. Give our kids the strength. Give them the respect. Give them to stand up, be proud. You know, I am me, I am a girl, you know, I know where my boundaries are. I'm a boy, I know where my boundaries are. And when I get older, I know what, you know, what I want, what it is. Isn't that what it's about?
Makes perfect sense to me. Show us some love one more time. And well, I still keep coming to this, that thank you so much for the strength. Thank you for the inspiration. Thank you for being here and the bravery, the courage to talk about it. And to all of you who are listening, please, the number is back on your screen, and this is a special hotline. if you need to talk to somebody, a listening ear, if you've gone through any of this painful experiences, please reach out and call this hotline right now, and you have a listening ear. Because whether we like it or not, these things are happening in our country.
Yes.
Let's not pretend that we have some cultural superiority and certain things don't happen here. I beg, I beg. These things are happening. Let's confront it. Let's stop playing the ostrich. You know, let's not coin words that this is satanism. Hey, my 3-year-old grandson or daughter should be molested, and it's okay because if I talk about it, I'm being satanic.
Yes.
Hey. So, Amma, thank you for your courage. Thank you for coming. And to all Ghanaians, let us realize something. You can't sweep something under the carpet and say it isn't there. So let's face it and confront it the way we must. Amma, your final. We have 60 seconds. Your final parting words for us.
For goodness sake, get up, because you're too precious. You are far too precious. Get up and fight. You are a liver of life. That's it.
Let's round one more time. And stick around. We'll be right back.
The KSM Show.